Shit.
Stop. Hello everyone and welcome to Gamer's Ledge. I am one of your hosts, Mark, but let's jump directly into Daniel. Hi, Daniel.
Let's see if it changes. How you guys doing?
There you go.
There you go. Welcome. This is going to be a weekly live play podcast using the Mutants and Masterminds rule set, which is a D20 rule set. And we will be playing a game set in a world very much like the MCU. This episode specifically is going to be going into the MCU as we know it up to and a little bit past Infinity War, which is where our path diverges from the MCU. If you are do not want spoilers, I would highly suggest that you go watch the movies and then come back to this. And we can give you about 5 seconds to make sure that you have that chance.
They're still here.
They're still here, okay. So, hi, I'm glad you're still here. We can go ahead and go through our players in a second, just so that we have everybody on board. Again, I'm Daniel. I'll be the GM of this game. Even though you may watch this, which is going to be a grouping of all of the MCU history, pretty much up to this point, our game will actually also be partly MCU, so there will be spoilers in the game overall, but this is the big spoiler cast. So, that's me. Go ahead, Mark.
I'm Mark. I am playing Norin Rad, also known as the Silver Surfer. Now, we are playing in a depowered version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it's not like he's quite the Herald of Galactus level version of himself, but if you followed his storyline in his first appearance, he actually fell through the skylight into Doctor Strange's home, somewhat depowered, and that was represented in the Infinity War with the Hulk instead, but same kind of difference is so he's depowered and on Earth, and we'll find out why as we go along in the game.
Okay, Anthony?
Sorry, I stepped away from it. I'm assuming that we are describing our characters?
Just like a small character intro, and then after we get those done, I'll jump right in with the history.
Okay, so I am playing the character Puck. This is a male version of the very customized version of Pixie from the Marvel Universe. 6 inches tall, permanently, dragonfly wings, flies around casting illusions and using fey magic to shove people around and move things, and creating portals to go into and out of dimension, the fey realm. And that is Puck.
So, as a note for our viewers, there is a Marvel character named Puck. This is in no way in relation to that character.
Right.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to say no Alpha Flight involved.
No Alpha Flight involved. Go ahead, Ray.
Alright,
I'm Ryan. I'll be playing the character Cadus, which is essentially going to be an offshoot of Gambit. Same powers, all the versus charging objects with kinetic energy that can in turn be explosive, and or charging a massive area over a period of time to cause an even bigger detonation of sorts. Otherwise, very skilled at fighting with a bow staff and cunning on his feet, street smarts, and of course, no character would be complete without a slight addiction, which surprise will be gambling.
So he's a gambler, but he's not named Gambit.
That's right.
Okay, I'm just checking. And last but not least,
Oh, I guess you want me to talk. I'm sorry. All right, so I am playing Aeon,
and what's your name, so that everybody knows?
Oh, my name is Nicholas. The character's name or my actual name?
Yeah, you don't know your actual name.
Yeah. So I'm Nicholas. I am playing Aeon, and he's an offshoot of Elixir with a little bit of rogue power elements added in to make it a little more interesting.
And for those that aren't aware, Elixir is a Omega level mutant who has the power to heal anyone or kill anyone. And Rogue's powers are to absorb other people's powers and or kill them as well. So yay. And Daniel, of course, is the GM or the Watcher. He's going to be guiding us as we go through everything. And yeah.
That is it. That's the idea anyway. Okay, so I figure what we'll do is we'll do a quick reminder of big events that have happened in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because obviously that's a very different universe than the comic books, and end with the last couple of years since the events of Infinity War took place. I'm just pulling up a screen really quick. We do have one other player, and that is Justin, and he is going to be playing a speedster. And kind of a unique character to the MCU.
Is he required to have a can of soda at all times? Because I think this needs to be a house rule.
No, Chick-fil-A.
But how are we supposed to yell, Surge?
See, and I thought you were going to go with Whizzer there.
Oh, no.
Alright, okay. So, we've given people plenty of time to go ahead and take off if they didn't want spoilers. Starting off, like 3000 BC, Dark Elves attempted to conquer the Nine Realms. I hear sounds, but I don't see text.
It's Roll20, I think. Roll20 chat.
Yeah, it is Roll20.
Yeah, Nick is.
I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out how to roll. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I want to make sure I'm not missing messages. Okay, so like 3,000 years BC, Dark Elves attempt to conquer the Nine Realms. Frost Giants attempt to invade Earth, and they're fought back. Odin hides the Tesseract, and which is the cosmic cube that we see in Captain America and so on. Fast forward a whole bunch of years, and we have essentially Captain America, where Steve Rogers goes to the project, goes to the Rebirth Chamber, and becomes Captain America. And he and his troops combat Red Skull and Hydra for 4 years, and come out successful. In a last-ditch effort, along the way losing Barnes, and that comes back into it later. After defeating Schmidt on, it looks like 4 March 1945. Wow, that's really specific. Captain America gets frozen. And Howard Stark recovers the Tesseract in 1945. Tesseract, obviously, we now know from Infinity War, and we had thought maybe there's possibility, is actually the space gem, one of the Infinity Stones. We got a lot of births. And we fast forward to Tony Stark. There's a whole bunch of other little stuff, but for the most part, we have Janet Pym shrinks into the quantum realm, which we know from the first Ant-Man movie, roughly 1987. 1988, Peter Quill is abducted from Earth. End of the 80s, Bruce Banner and Betty Ross begin dating. Yay!
Is that before or after?
News?
Is that before or after she became Arwen?
Before.
Okay.
Why is this news? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I'm skipping over a lot. I'm essentially just hitting the headlines. Because there's a lot of other stuff in the mix. I'm just gonna jump ahead. Stark, captured by the Ten Rings, the Ten Rings of Mandarin, which is the terrorist group from the first Iron Man movie. That's roughly in 2009. So everything that we're going to go over pretty much is happening over the course of about 10 to 11 years. The entire history of the MCU that we know as modern history, not counting Captain America, the first Avenger, which sets up Captain America coming to our timeline. But really, I mean, the movies started with Iron Man. So that, coupled with Stark developing his armor, creates the Mark II, and becomes public. He goes public, which we know from the end of Iron Man, which was huge because until that point we did have other superheroes, which we now know were Miss Marvel, Bruce Banner, things that Fury had kind of known about and kept secret. Iron Man coming forward really made the Avengers Initiative possible. Kind of brought it out in the open. We know that in Iron Man 2, he continued to operate as Iron Man. With the Stark Expo and starting to get poisoned, the metal from his arc reactor was obviously not doing well for him. We have a lot of Banner moving in the background in South America at this same time. Senator Stern, who we know worked for Hydra, was also not a big fan of Stark and the Avengers Initiative. Moving forward. About the same time, 2010, is where we start picking up with Thor, and Thor being banished to Earth in May of 2010. So again, that's about 10 years prior to where we are in the modern era for this game. And the whole story of Thor 1, where he is trying to find his hammer and become worthy. We also see the introduction of everyone's favorite hero, Hawkeye. Right towards the end, when Thor defeated the Destroyer and earns his right to go back to Asgard, is also when Banner was attacked by the military in the big conflict in Incredible Hulk. Which also, around that same time, is when Thor destroyed the Bifrost, locking himself away. Does anybody have anything at this point? Notes? Interesting
No, I'm
facts?
good.
Okay. Moving on. We have Banner meeting with Stearns. Stearns was the geneticist that the scientist that was working with him right before Abomination, and ended up with being exposed to that genetic material, that gamma-infused genetic material. In the movie, it kind of has his head growing, and so some speculated, well, not speculated, but that was the master that we might see in further movies, though we never did. However, Roman grabbed him and brought him into S.H.I.E.L.D. In the comic books, the MCU comic books. Shortly after, the 9 realms descended into chaos. So, the Bifrost, which was the Rainbow Bridge, had allowed Asgard to travel out into the 9 realms and protect the 9 realms from the different warring factions that have been at war for thousands of years. The removal of the Bifrost means those old enemies and those old wars can start coming back to the surface. So no good there. Steve Rogers was found in April of 2011, right around the same time that S.H.I.E.L.D. started examining the Tesseract once again. And shortly thereafter, Rogers met Nick Fury for the first time and started talking about building this team. Thor arrives on Earth again in May, and that is the start of Avengers with the attack on New York. So, the battle for New York, the first battle, was 4 May 2011, and that's a big deal for MCU because that was not something the government could really hide. That was the existence of aliens, that was the existence of threats outside of our system. That was huge because even people seeing viral videos of Thor didn't mean much because that couldn't spread very far. He had a lot of fans, sure, but it didn't. He was just a superhero. Seeing giant waves of aliens coming from the sky that seem insurmountable is a lot bigger. And that actually comes quite a bit into this game as well, and what has pushed things like the Sokovia Accords and so on that I'll talk about. We saw Thor and Loki return to Asgard. A little bit of what happens with some of that Chitauri tech that falls to the ground, which also pops up in Spider-Man Homecoming. That also mentions some of that Chitauri tech. It's kind of the basis of Homecoming, the villains anyway. Then we go into Project Insight and Captain America Civil War, in which a secret organization with too much power got infiltrated by bad guys and has to be taken down, which is big. It also has the re-emergence of Bucky Barnes, which is a big deal for stuff coming up as well. We also see Thor traveling. So remember how I said the 9 realms are descending into chaos? Thor has found ways to go back out. And Heimdall actually rebuilt the Bifrost. Heimdall being Idris Elba's character, who's amazing. And that is also where we see the third Infinity Stone now. Third Infinity Stone now, which is the Aether or the Reality Gem. It's that red, black,
Mist.
viscous, floating fluid mist. Yeah. We also meet the Dark Elves. Now, the Dark Elves come from a very specific realm, and were locked away for a long time. This may or may not come into the fact that we now have Fae in our version of the MCU. The Dark Elves attack Asgard, and they're looking for essentially the Reality Gem. Malekith, who most might recognize as the Ninth Doctor. We know that Thor defeats Malekith, and the Collector takes the Aether. The first of a couple that he wants to try to collect. Go figure, it's his name. We also have Thor offered the throne and declining the throne. And then we have Iron Man 3, which some can argue may or may not be people's least favorite of that trilogy. But it goes into some different things which are really interesting. It's the beginning of the thoughts about nanotechnology for Tony Stark, and also gets rid of the first set of what I like to call unitasker armor. Instead of having one set of armor that does a bunch of different things, he has one set of armor that's very good at one job, but he has that times like 500, which is something that, and even in the comic books, Tony Stark is known for. So that was 2014. So we've only jumped 5 years. All of that was only 5 years. 2014 also had the Guardians of the Galaxy, formed around the protection of the Power Infinity Stone, trying to save the planet, the galaxy from Ronan the Accuser. Peter Quill also comes across a sentient planet Ego and his connection to that planet, which is a pretty neat story, I thought. But that comes into the whole cosmic entity that is the Guardians of the Galaxy. Does anybody have anything?
Nope, you got it all so far.
Okay. 2015, in an effort to protect the planet from a looming threat, we saw Tony Stark develop the Iron Legion. So we went from Tony Stark having 500 suits controlled by Jarvis to stop threats, and him telling her, "Don't worry, I'm not going to do that anymore," to him creating the Iron Legion. And I believe it's more, he was seeing the Iron Legion as more of like white blood cells, having them stationed across different areas to help protect different from different threats. The Iron Legion was a series of android-like powered drones that were set up to pretty much protect different sections, different areas. But even they saw a bunch of essentially hate. People did not like when he would step in and do that. Go figure. They also had Loki's staff on retainer, his like actual mind control staff, and they wanted to use it to try to merge Jarvis into something larger. Fast forward, we know the Mind Stone is inside of Loki's staff. They are trying to use it to create the next level of defense for the planet, and end up, instead of using it to make Jarvis something new, it eats Jarvis and becomes something new, which is Ultron. Ultron, who is kind of like a reverse of what he wants to do to protect the Earth and humanity, decides to make multiple bodies, multiple copies, which is going to come into some stuff later, and wants to use the city nation. Is it Sokovia? Is it a nation or a city?
It's a city. Well, I think it's a city. His
It's
city
a
was
what?
It's a state. It's a state.
It's a city-state.
Yep.
Okay. He wants to use it to essentially set apart the next ice age by lifting it up and then landing it like a giant meteor. And gets pretty close too. But Tony Stark and Thor, with some visions of the future, jumpstart the body that Ultron had created to be the next evolution of himself, using the Mind Stone to create Vision. Probably one of my favorite roles for Paul Bettany. So he's very much like the comics too, Vision. The Avengers are able to stop Ultron's plans, but not before he destroys Sokovia. Near around this time, we also see Scott Lang attempt to steal from Hank Pym and become the new Ant-Man. We get the quantum realm is rediscovered. Bruce Banner takes a Quinjet into space and ends up on Sakaar. And that was the end of Ultron, Age of Ultron. Next, we move into Civil War. Baron Zemo, as revenge for the death of his family in Sokovia, wages war against the Avengers. Puts Winter Soldier as a patsy, and pits Steve Rogers and Tony Stark against each other. This coupled with the announcement of the Sokovia Accords. Now, as fans, we have to they kind of hint a lot at what the Sokovia Accords are. So for this game, I've done kind of a write-up. I think the Sokovia Accords are and what they entail. And a lot of it ends up being laws and policies on how people with extraordinary abilities have to act, because they don't want people just running around killing everybody, and that's expensive. Essentially, it breaks up the Avengers. Captain America's team goes on the run. This Peter Parker, a student who's bitten by a radioactive spider, go figure, is under the watchful eye of Tony Stark Iron Man, and decides he wants to still be a neighborhood Spider-Man for a while. Then we have Doctor Strange's whole bid. This is important because Doctor Strange actually talks about, in that movie, talks about the multiverse. Introduces a couple more avant-garde subjects that we haven't seen in the MCU up to this point, and also introduces Dormammu. Is Dormammu considered a Celestial in the MCU? What do you think?
No.
No? What is he?
He is a entity from a different dimension.
So what would you classify him like?
Death.
He could be a universal embodiment, like an abstract entity, like eternity in his universe, theoretically. Chat saying an eternal of his own universe. Yeah, it's possible as well.
Strange becomes the Sorcerer Supreme and the Protector of the Time Stone. So we now almost have a complete set. 2017 had a lot, and I'm gonna jump past it quite a bit. But 2017 had Prince T'Challa from Wakanda. After his father's death at the hand of Baron Zemo, he became king of Wakanda, which is a secret. It is not a secret nation, but its true resources and capabilities is in fact secret. That's pretty much a self-contained movie taking place in Wakanda. But he, near the end of that, he unites all the tribes of Wakanda under one banner and begins an outreach program to help the world. He also kind of puts Wakanda on the map of resources and technology in the world. That's a big deal, a really big deal, because they are really their technology level is really far advanced for what is considered in the rest of the world. And that's going to come into the game as well. We have Thor Ragnarok, which occurs taking Thor and Loki to Sakaar, finding Banner, and them fighting back and escaping to try to stop his sister Hela, which ends in Ragnarok, the destruction of Asgard. The leftover Asgardians. Okay, so I took some liberties here. The Asgardians left on a giant ship. The way Thanos has played his cards in the majority of the stuff we've seen is he kills half and lets the other half go. Because we did not see the majority of Asgardians on the ship, I took creative license and said that Valkyrie was released with half of the Asgardians to leave.
There were 2 ships.
Right. To leave before Thanos killed everybody else, essentially. Not before getting the Tesseract, which was the space gem that he needed. And moving on. Also, Heimdall shoot back to Earth, shooting him through the skylight at Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, which is what Mark was talking about earlier in the comic books. That was actually Silver Surfer. And it wasn't Thanos, was it? Oh, it was Thanos. No, it was because of Thanos.
No, it was a Galactus. It was
Galactus? Okay.
Yeah, it was Galactus.
Okay. Cool. I thought that was a clever thing they did. Led by Valkyrie. Okay. Avengers Infinity War happens, which ends with the Avengers being too late and a buck short, and Thanos decimates life in the universe and disappears. He ends up in a farm. A nice, pretty farm. Okay. This occurs while Scott Lang is in the quantum realm, and his whole team is taken, abandoning him there, which we saw from Infinity War and Ant-Man and the Wasp. Alright. Here's where the new stuff starts. So, you guys can wake up now. April 30th, 2018 has become known as the Day of Decimation 2018, or D18. Chaos. I can't even read that, it's so small. Chaos spread through the globe, families were destroyed, and as it was random, much of the world's experience and knowledge was lost as well. The UN stepped in a large way, with huge amounts of support from large corporations. Many of the corporations had enough members to stay in good standing even after D18. And the high-tech nation of Wakanda really stepped up. The UNWO, or United Nations World Order, was born. They were the first, and for a long time, the only supply that many had after D18. So they ended up helping to make sure that people had food, water, energy, medical supplies, everything they needed, nearly globe-wide after half of the people disappeared. They helped move food and resources around to where they were needed. After 2 years, humans adapted as they had done since the beginning. They adjusted, and while no one would dare say it, with only half of the population, there was plenty to go around. Behind the scenes, about 6 months after D18, right around October of 2018, Captain America, Iron Man, and the remaining Avengers collected all manner of whatever heroes were left and took the fight to Thanos. They had found him on the world he was at, and in a last-ditch effort to bring back all that was lost, they never returned. June of 2019, several clips went viral of a man with glowing red eyes that destroyed an overturned fuel truck that was sliding towards a busy highway. The film was clear, and it was the first evidence seen by the public. of mutants. Governments around the globe had been seeing signs for months. Mutants, which are humans with powers, start showing up en masse. Some geneticists believe that we were seeing the next step of evolution brought on by the abrupt change to the environment and population. Other scientists, mostly physicists, believe that the lives taken in D18 represented a massive amount of energy, and as energy can never be destroyed, it shown itself in these mutants. Regardless, many around the globe still see the influx of these powered beings as an omen for future trouble. It was beings like these that brought about D18, or so the masses believe. And so even in their societal infancy, mutants are reviled. People see these people with powers as something different and dangerous, and so there's a lot of violence against them. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, watch X-Men the cartoon. Okay, so that was June of 2019.
Or the Gifted.
What was that?
Or the Gifted.
Or the Gifted. That's a good point.
They does a good job of showing that.
Yep. Okay, so that was June. October 2019, the Xavier Institute, a private school in upstate New York, purchases the large grounds around the school, expanding by almost 40%, and claims the first UNWO sanctuary rights for mutant kind. The school and grounds are owned by the philanthropist Charles Xavier, who works with Howard Stark on his equipment in the 60s. The UNWO, in response to the outcry of numerous nations around the globe, called for an addition of the Mutant Registration Act to tie into the Sokovia Accords. So the Sokovia Accords are already set in place, they're already signed up. Everybody who steps forward is either arrested or registers with the Sokovia Accords, signs on to them. They're trying to get the Mutant Registration Act attached as an addendum to that, which would limit the actions of mutants and ensure the mutants are registered and their abilities known. Senator Lee Kelly is one of the major leaders in the U.S. to push for the signing of this act. The township, in December 31st, 2019, so the last day of the year, the township of Middleborough, Kentucky, burns 3 mutant children outside of a Church of Truth, which is a organization that has begun, that essentially says normal humans, Homo sapiens, are the only way forward for the future.
Isn't that church burns down?
Investigations by local authorities find no one at fault, and the government has to step in. Investigations ongoing. Crimes against mutants have been increasing worldwide since their arrival. As mutants can show up anywhere in any family group, the mutants that go to a criminal element aren't helping the situation. So you have organizations that are trying to help protect mutants, but also using them for darker reasons. Say gangs. Not that any of our players would know what that is.
Gang, what is that?
Chat is saying, "Damn, that got dark fast." And I would like to counter with, read any X-Men book from the 1960s forward.
So I'd be lying if I said that I'm just coming up with this off the top of my head. There's literally decades of stories that this is going through.
This being an example, yeah.
And that's my plan moving forward for you, for the viewers and the players. My plan is to try to use some modified comic book storylines that we've loved over time as part of these stories, because I think that some of them are extremely well written. Okay.
Before you jump back in, real quick, can we talk about the 6th player? Are we going to do the 6th player?
Oh, the Cuckoos?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Shiaku,
Go ahead, Mark.
Shiaku mentioned that they've been playing in a Mutant Mastermind game campaign themselves, and sadly ending after 3 years. And what we're going to do with the chat is, if you join us on Tuesdays, you guys are the Stepford Cuckoos. And what that means is, if you're not familiar with the Stepford Cuckoos, they're a series of triplets that all have super omega level telepathy powers, and you guys can be our sixth player, and you're going to kind of be like a filter where we may disregard a lot of what's said, but if you're contributing to the story and offering opinions and ideas, then that may be a message from the Stepford Cuckoos to us as we're playing as something that we haven't considered. So, not saying that... Well, I'm sorry?
But I was saying they're one of the main bad guys in The Gifted.
I was just about to say that too. Spoiler alert, but yeah, the Esme and the Stepford Cuckoos actually show up in Gifted as well.
Awesome.
But yeah, I have no problem with that, so that you guys can help chime in or maybe give ideas. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel.
Seal of approval. Okay, so that was December 31st, 2019. February 2020, in response to the human and mutant violence, the UNWO created the Department of Mutant Affairs, or the DOMA. They are a worldwide security organization that investigates and combats both humans and mutants, seeking to eliminate the threat, whatever that threat is. They've only been... we are going to be starting on April 25th, 2020. So, those of you doing the math, that would be...
In the future.
5 days before D18. D18.
5 days before the anniversary of D18, right?
Right. 5 days before the anniversary of D18.
Yeah.
The 5th anniversary? 3rd anniversary?
That would be... no.
I'm dumb. The 2nd anniversary. It's called D18.
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
It's okay. It's all good.
Okay. So, and this, we're going to be doing different story arcs. This story arc is called Rise of the Mutants, as you can see right next to Mark's shoulder. This arc is going to be mainly dealing with the repercussions of a significant portion of the world turning into mutants. Because if you consider that mutants in a normal Fox movie cinematic universe, they're a fairly small percentage. Well, there's 50% less people now, so it's a percentage of mutants showing up. Do we have any questions or things we'd like to go over? This is the section I set up for world building.
Chat wants to know if any power plants went nuclear after D18, after half of their staff just disappeared.
Yes. Planes fell from the sky. There were serious ecological and economical issues that occurred. The world was in chaos. There were a lot of people that died that did not disappear. Because of life changing.
And
good question.
In a way,
very good question.
In a way, Thanos kind of won, right? He got what he wanted because the world came together, of sorts.
Yeah. He won.
Yeah.
Oh no! You're saying he got. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes, Thanos achieved his goal.
Yes.
Yeah. Because, as we will also go over, it wasn't just Earth. It was everywhere.
Right.
50% of all life in the universe. So if you were, say, I don't know, a celestial being or another type of being that feeds on life energy that a planet has, now you have to eat twice as many. It's like Chinese food. Wow, racist much?
Wow.
No, Naomi. Not because there was less Chinese food, less Chinese people, it's like Chinese food.
No, you're saying that
Anyway. Okay, so world building. There's if you guys have ideas that you think would be a idea to add to this new, I like I said, so we had the MCU that led up to this point, and now we are branching off because Marvel, while she may or may not show up in this game, won't be the same as Captain Marvel the movie. We split after Infinity War. So everything that happens in the MCU moving forward now is going to be different than our MCU.
So
Our PCU.
I think the question that we probably all have is, how are we going to be together as a group?
So, other than you, I think everyone is a mutant.
Right.
So part of my introduction. So tonight's we're going to be doing a sample combat tonight, and part of next week's intro is going to be what brings you all together, and I have that written up already. Okay. Because you while you are not, they all are.
Right.
Including our 6th player.
The follow-up questions: were the cow, chicken, pig, and other sources of meat also cut in half population-wise, or was it only humans?
Yes. All life.
So, I went back and forth on this a little bit. I believe it was all life, because other forms of life also take resources. But in my head, I also thought, well, maybe if it was sentient life, because I believe that if humans weren't on this planet, the planet would probably be just fine. Mm-hmm. But I think that because it's half sentient life, it's also half life. For the course of this, it will be half of all life.
Okay. They're getting very specific about did trees vanish as well.
No.
Because trees are dumb.
One bush. There was dumb. One bush. One bush went.
And that was the band, right? The band bush?
That was the band.
Yeah.
Yep. The whole band. Not 50% of the band. The whole band.
Nice.
They had to make room for Rush. All of Rush is still here. And Nickelback.
No. Thanos
not everything
failed.
can be good.
Thanos failed.
Not everything can be good.
The hands are gone. Fine.
Did we have any other questions from the cuckoos? I'm not seeing any. Did you guys have any things you would like to add to this universe that makes sense for the MCU and for how this is diverged?
So, I guess, the Avengers, the remaining Avengers went to confront Thanos and fix everything, and they never came back and were never heard from again, etc. Did I get that correctly? And so,
yes.
Okay.
So, for the last 2 years, there have been some people that have stepped up in small ways, but for the most part, all of the heroes were gone. Villains didn't leave. So 50% of the villains that were still here are still here. And so there are villains that kind of rose to power in their respective areas. That we'll be getting into in the game.
Is S.H.I.E.L.D. still active and on the radar? Or are they underground? Or, well, we wouldn't know if they were underground, but are they on the radar? Has someone stepped up to be the S.H.I.E.L.D., and then has someone stepped up to be the Avengers? I guess is my follow-up question.
So, no one has stepped up to be the Avengers. When the Avengers broke... Yeah, huh?
X-Men and X-Men.
I will actually get back to that, Anthony. Thank you for reminding me. Okay, so once the Avengers broke in Civil War, they remained broken. There has not been another Avengers that stepped forward. There is a kid that no one has been able to, or not a kid. There is a person in New York that people have been calling Spider-Man. That seems to have a lot of the same powers. but no one has actually gotten a picture of him. He's pretty much Batman at this point, where he's just a story.
Okay, so
okay.
I'm sorry, I must have missed that in the recap somehow. So in our version, because they never got back together after Civil War, there was no unified front when Thanos' lackey stepped down on
So there was a unified... I'm sorry. I said the Avengers broke up. That's not true. Tony Stark still had an Avengers. Right. I forgot. That is true.
Right.
Those Avengers disappeared. No one has replaced them. Avengers, the land that was Avengers has been set up as a kind of refugee camp and a new kind of headquarters for something. You're not sure what. The drones keep everybody away. Good question.
So, does that mean that Steve Rogers and the remainder of the original Avengers could still be out there? Or did they actually come back to help Tony and disappeared with the others?
So, the movie is exactly the same.
Oh, okay.
The movie is exactly the same.
Got it.
Yeah. I just forgot that there was an Avengers with Tony Stark and a War Machine, and yeah, I forgot.
Okay. So,
everybody still came together to fight Thanos. The people that disappeared on Wakanda disappeared on Wakanda.
So then people would know. Right. Spider-Man
disappeared. The Spider-Man that we know that showed up all the time.
There is a new Spider-Man. That's the I think
there is
part
a
that
new
I missed.
Spider-Man.
Got it.
Sorry. Yes.
I'm sorry.
There are some mantles that people have picked up, but not in a big way.
Spider-Ham?
No, not Spider-Ham.
Batmite?
Spider Noir.
Huh?
Batmite?
Spider Noir.
Spider Noir, sure, yeah, no. But there have been some people who have started picking up the mantles, but no one of any serious note, or no one that wants to be interviewed or have pictures taken of them like Spider-Man did. Spider-Man was in the newspapers all the time.
Well, yeah, he took pictures of himself all the time.
Not this one. Not High School Spider-Man.
So
technically, as far as the public knows, this could be the same Spider-Man.
Got it. And then,
I guess Mark's question is so did S.H.I.E.L.D. disappear altogether, or is there still a S.H.I.E.L.D. that's just manned by non-supers?
So
spin off.
So the S.H.I.E.L.D. as we know it is no longer there. There was no Ash, so there's no need for urns.
That's right. Well, unless you count the people in the nuclear plants and on the planes that went down in a fireball. Yeah, this got dark.
True.
This got real dark
True.
real quick. So then I'm sorry, I have 1,000 questions, and I'm trying to.
Oh, okay. So also of note, I told Anthony the other day, there is rumor of a secret mutant that helps out in dire areas that need assistance. But again, no one has been able to actually get for sure information. The four of you, you three and Justin when he plays, who are mutants, know that this secret organization is the X-Men. They've just been super, super secret.
So my follow-up question there is, have they all signed the Mutant Registration Act? Or is it still pending legislation? Or is it actually passed and it is in fact, so it's just been proposed legislation at this point?
It has been proposed, and it's looking like it's going to pass, but it has not passed yet.
And hell no, ain't gonna sign that.
So the Xavier Institute, as a sanctuary, has signed a form of this Sokovia Accords to so that the people are protected on its grounds, and it takes responsibility for the people it brings in.
Okay.
So the people that are on the grounds don't necessarily have to sign themselves, but it's kind of like guest rights. They are expected to behave a certain way.
Don't break our stuff. Got it.
Don't break our stuff. Squirrel Girl. I plead the fifth.
Okay, so then okay.
And so if we had a question, all of the Netflix heroes,
Mm-hmm.
they were canceled, so they died.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. All right. Nobody really cared about them anyways in the grand scheme of things.
I do bet Daredevil never saw it coming.
And I bet Iron Fist whined about it the whole time.
Oh
Why
no!
did they go to Tashi
man.
Station for power converters?
That was my
I'm-
best Iron Fist.
But I'm rich. Oh. And privileged. Oh. Okay, so how long
just so you guys know,
Oh.
real quick, just so you guys know, when I say MCU, I mean the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which includes TV shows like Shield, Runaways, Cloak and Dagger, all of the Netflix series, but does not include the Fox properties, which is why we're doing X-Men and a lot of the mutant stuff. That doesn't exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so that's kind of free for us to use without doing that. When I had the guys making characters, one of my big rules was I love it if you play a character we haven't seen that exists, that we haven't seen yet in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You can't play anybody who is already in the Cinematic Universe. But all of the mutants are up. If somebody really wanted to play Wolverine, they could play Wolverine. But that's because he has not been in this MCU. Where was I going with that? Yeah, so that's so things like Spider-Man from Spider-Man Homecoming. I consider, even though it's part of Sony's cinematic universe, I consider Venom to be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the purpose of this. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much what I consider in canon for the MCU. What were you saying, Mark?
I was just trying to figure out how long I've been here.
So that can be up to you. Sorry, when I'm doing this, I'm trying to read what the text says.
Bone Claw Wolverine. Oh God.
Oh gee, not oh God.
Oh.
Original gangster.
The original gangster.
Oh God, also works.
What do you want is more my question. Because I could have been here for a while, under the shelter, obviously no one knows I'm here.
Or do
Well, no.
Well, he would have been. They would have tried to incorporate him into the attack on Thanos if he was here.
Correct.
They tried to grab all of the heroes they could to take on Thanos a second time.
And as an FYI, my character was actually on the way to fight Thanos and failed, and did not get there, and that's how I
did your spaceship break in?
He doesn't need one.
The tides that brought in the surfboard were just too low.
That's right.
You got stuck in a jetty?
I had to doggy paddle through space.
And that's the power level you're at.
That is 100% true.
I would say if you've been, that's a difficult one.
I know.
I can talk to you about that offline.
Yeah. However you want to do it. I just didn't want to throw a kink in there, so I figured.
I would say probably more recent.
Okay.
If you wanted to be here longer, then there's other things that have to be taken into effect or into account.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Just flopping around like a space salmon.
That is my power level right now. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. What next?
Do we have any questions? You go ahead.
Not really a question, but so I've been looking a lot at that. My teleportation power, my ability to dimension slip into the fairylands. Once you started talking about Malekith earlier, I hadn't thought about how teleporting to the fairylands could be one of those realms. Which could actually be very true to in character as well. So whether I was leaning after doing some quick Google foo, Alfheim, which I'm not familiar with any of these, so I'll have to do some research later. The light elves, but if you want it to be the dark elves, it's cool with that too.
Nope. So when you told me about your character, and then told me that was one of your powers, I went because it fits in really well. People hear that you want to play that with the character you want to play, and normally that doesn't necessarily fit into a game like this. Jokes are fine, but most of the cinematic movies are relatively serious action movies, and I'd like this to kind of portray that level. But a 6-inch fairy may or may not fit that. I think it fits it perfect because there are characters like that in the Marvel Universe. There's even, Ant-Man and the Wasp, who we really didn't think were going to be a good movie. Like, how do you portray that on screen without it being goofy? You know? A guy can shrink to the size of ants. But it was amazing. They did a really good job. Anthony. Yeah. Naomi just asked who is a fairy. Anthony's a fairy. Anthony's always a fairy.
I built a character in honor of Naomi.
He built a character in honor of you.
I know, I appreciate it. And I will steal it.
And she will steal it, as she said.
That's fine, I got like 1,200 others.
He's giving a history of Alfheim in the chat.
Nice. Yep.
You know you're reading that in the most difficult way possible, right? You could actually like do a new window and have the Twitch channel open and actually, I'm just saying, then you wouldn't have to squint to read the backwards text so difficult.
And we wouldn't have to see his nose hair either.
Oh, just the whole hair?
Twitch. Okay. Did you guys have any other points or any other questions? Or because really, your questions are helping to build the world.
So I know in other games we've played, you've done where you had homework to where we kind of told a brief story of how our character came to be. You didn't ask for that this time, so I wasn't sure what you necessarily wanted or.
So I actually didn't have very much homework for this one because I wanted to choose. I chose the MCU. I'm gonna have to mute this in a second, but.
Oh no.
I hate how I sound. I apologize, guys, for how I sound. Where's the chat? I don't see the chat.
It's on the right side.
Yeah, it's right there.
I see it.
Chat.
Yeah, I see it right there.
Oh. Okay, just nobody has written anything. There it is. Okay, awesome. I'm going to throw that over here and be efficient with my window management. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know this was a thing.
If you're too efficient with your window management, you're going to break your firewall again, so just be careful.
That's true.
I think the questions that I have are, is there a Fantastic Four?
Okay, so I plead the fifth on the Fantastic Four because we may or may not be seeing that as a story arc moving forward.
Yeah, not known to the public. That's where I was trying to
not known to the public.
Okay. What has happened to Wakanda since then? Is Wakanda stepped up,
So-
or have they re-isolated? What have they done?
Wakanda has stepped up in a large way. It was really helped the uniting of all the tribes in Wakanda really helped when they lost half their population as well, and they have, ironically, is as per the first movie.
Wait. The movie that came out in like 1989.
Yeah.
It is amazing and on YouTube.
Off sidetrack. Damn it.
Sorry.
You asked me a question. That question was.
Wakanda's relevance in the
Oh,
world
thank
today.
you. So Wakanda has a female Black Panther that, instead of being a secret hero, is actually a known hero, and she is his sister. Like she's gone public like Iron Man, Tony Stark, and she leads the UNWO's efforts to make sure that the world is as even as possible. Getting resources where they need to be, that kind of stuff. She does not do hero work, even though she's known as it's more of a status symbol that she uses it for. So that's where that is. Wakanda has stepped up in a big way. The technology that was once known to sit within Wakanda and stay within Wakanda is now found throughout like larger portions of the world.
Are Wakanda responsible for all the UFO activity? They have
Where?
like Middle America. They just like show up.
Probably.
Trying to think. So we've got the X-Men, Fantastic Four, MIA, no Avengers. Has there been any further interplanetary contact since the event of D18?
There has not. And if we took the camera and slid it out into the galaxy divided, most of these planets and the fact that the Nova Core was decimated, like completely decimated, means that a lot of other planets have kind of pulled in on themselves, trying to protect themselves. And then D18 happened, so they're pulling in even further. So even out in the wild world, there's a lot of areas that where they originally had like trade routes, and a lot of that has been nixed.
So everyone become isolationists.
Kind of, not everyone, but a lot. There are plenty of predators in space that are taking in the galaxy that are taking advantage of the isolationist views.
So there's predators in this game?
I'm sorry, not predators like alien predators, but like I don't know how else to say that.
Opportunists.
Opportunists, thank you. Opportunists.
Galaxian opportunists.
Galaxian opportunists.
Okay.
So that's good.
So is there any remnants of the Guardians of the Galaxy were gone as part of that unified defense front, but there was the B team, Stallone and Miley Cyrus and the rest of them. Half of them. Yeah, she was the robot head. If you didn't know that. Is there anyone serving in that capacity, or that is, well, I mean, I guess we wouldn't know. So, But the
Not
point
to
is,
the public knows, yeah.
we've not had any Earth has not had any contact with anybody since D18, basically.
You first alien that dropped that they knew of.
Right? Yeah. Okay. That's okay. Great. That's it. I don't have any more questions. I don't think.
And to Destructor, perhaps. That may or may not already be in the system somewhere. Okay, so we wanted to do a sample combat, and I think Anthony has that pulled up to do that. Are you ready for that, Anthony? So this system is a D20 based system. It's kind of unique in that normal D20 systems like Pathfinder, D&D, even Gamma World uses kind of the same stats, the same 6 stats, and gives you a score, and then off that score gives you a modifier that you use for everything. You almost never use the score, everything else is the modifier. So if I had a strength of 18, I have a +4 modifier that I add to my rolls. In this, you've got 8 different attributes, and 0 is, if I'm a human average guy just walking down the street, I have 0s in all of my stats. And also of note, my stat is what gets added. So if I have a strength of 5, for example, I have this here. Now that you're looking at my ear hair. If I have a strength of 5, it means I can lift 1,600 pounds, where a normal human can lift about 50 without strain. So, I mean, normal humans can even have stats higher than 0, but the average human is going to have stats of 0. So, as you can see, it means you can get pretty super heroic pretty fast.
And those ranks double every time. So every time you go up 1 strength, you double whatever the previous amount was.
So this game has a power level of 10, and most of our powers are capped out at 10 ranks. A strength of 10 is 25 tons. So, pretty serious stuff. Okay, Anthony, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Okay, so do you have a question before you run too far, Dan?
Yeah.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. Darn it. Or is that the right button? That is the wrong button, damn it. So, as I'm building the combat, as I was building it, I was assuming that I was going to play the NPCs versus the team, and then I quickly realized that meant that you don't have a damn thing to do. Do you NPCs versus the players, so you also get training, or do you want to take a break? Because I know you've been talking for a long ass time.
I would like to take a break.
That is perfectly fine.
Thank you.
I just wanted to give you the choice of if you want to join us in the game or in the fake combat, or if you wanted to rest.
I would like to rest.
Because I'm a teacher in my real world job, and talking a lot, I get huge headaches at the end of the night. Plus, having to look at Nick on the camera is just terrifying too.
Nice.
He looks nothing like this promised Deadpool character icon he had. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't have a hood on.
Alright, so if you guys want to switch over to the Roll20 if you're not there yet.
I'm there.
And for me to be there, I have to go off tab for the camera, so I can't see that part anymore. Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm not going to bother with the story. You guys, well, too much. You guys are on the docks, and you see a couple bad guys that I need to move to be visible.
Boo, bad guys.
They're visible there. Bad guys! And they see you, and the big one picks up a crate and throws it in your general direction, initiating combat. Yay! So we'll go ahead and just roll right into the combat just to get this kind of going, because this combat could take a while. This doesn't roll like normal games where you have a set number of health points, and then once those health points are dwindled down, combat's over. This one could go forever until you make a crappy roll, and then it's game over. So as long as you make decent rolls, it's going to keep going. So let's see. The bad guys that you see this guy, whom you know goes by Grizzly. Big, strong, hairy.
Mr. Adams?
Sure. Whatever you want. His friend here goes by Shiva. She is encased in a solid block of ice and is actively pushing an ice beam at one of the big crates, trying to break through the lock to get whatever's on the inside. And finally, I just realized I may not have been broadcasting those to you guys. So if you didn't see him, so there's Grizzly.
Oh yeah, no, now you are.
Right, there he is. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps if I do the right. So I can make it big on my screen, or I can make it big on everybody's screen if I do the right key combo. So there's Shiva.
Hi.
And the last one is Wildcat, and she is sitting on top of a different crate, keeping watch as you guys come up. As Grizzly picked up the crate and threw it in your direction, she looks over at you, whereas Shiva continues trying to break into that particular crate. So to start it off with, we're going to go ahead and roll initiative. So does everybody have their character sheets handy?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you should see your initiative towards the top in the middle, to the right of where it says offense. So roll 1d20 plus whatever that number is.
1d20 plus. Ooh, I do
Nice
not
roll,
have
chick.
That yet. Can you stop broadcasting her to us, Wildcat?
Just click off the screen. Just click on the screen anywhere and she goes away.
Oh, well that's okay.
Oh, wow. +8. Nice. +11. Good God.
I did that slightly out of order. So Chick had a 31, and you had a 10. I did that. I hit the wrong one.
Yeah, man.
Wildcat
So
had a 17. Grizzly has an 11. Mark has a 16. For the sake of making things easy on myself, Puck got knocked out by that shot. Now I don't have to play 4 characters versus you 3.
Oh no, Puck, no!
That's probably going to happen. He's got ridiculously high offense defense and like no toughness at all. So as soon as he gets hit, he's gone. Who am I missing? I'm missing you.
Who's you?
That one. Ooh, sucks for you, Shiva.
I'm not left. I'm not left.
So I have Ray or Cadus has a 31. Wildcat has a 17. Grizzly has Surfer has a 16. Grizzly has an 11. Let's see. Aeon has a 10. Putting them in order. And Shiva has a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all 6 he is. Great. So we have our initiative slots. Thank you for whoever shoved Puck off into the watery depths.
You're welcome.
Cadus, so we will start off with you. Looking at your sheet, you have your offenses at the top. Where is your sheet? There's your sheet. Do you have an idea of what you want to do first? And Dan, if you don't like how I'm running it, at any point come in and give comments.
Well, given that this is a Gambit offshoot, Gambit really only has one opening move, which is to throw something nice and shiny at him that's kinetically charged, so it goes boom. So let's go for a kinetic charge ranged attack.
Okay, and who are you going to be throwing your card at?
Well, we'll go after Wildcat since that nimble little
Okay.
shit is running or jumping around.
So for your kinetic charge, you've got a plus 14 to hit, so you're going to roll 1d20 plus 14 versus Wildcat's dodge DC. So go ahead and roll 1d20 plus 14. Okay, so you rolled a 31. So to figure out my dodge DC, if you have your character sheets printed off, one of the things I highly suggest is on your defenses where it says dodge is whatever, parry is whatever. To the right of that, make another column for your DCs. So your dodge DC is 10 plus whatever that number is. So like Cadus, your dodge is a 14, your dodge DC would be a 24, just 10 higher. So dodge, parry, fortitude, and will, the DCs are just 10 higher than that. Actually, does matter at some points. So you went against Wildcat. Wildcat, make sure I'm on the right sheet. Wildcat's dodge DC is a 22. So you hit with a bunch of degrees of success. So 31 minus 22 is a 9. Round up to the nearest multiple of 5, divide by 5.
2 degrees.
And you've got 2 degrees of success. And of course, right off the bat, you come up with something that I forget how that works, so I'm going to hold off on that question for now. But you have hit. So now we're going to look at how much damage did you do. In other games, you would roll to see how much damage you do versus a static armor of your opponent. They flip it in Mutants and Masterminds. Your damage is static, but my ability to resist is going to be what I roll. So you roll to hit me, you hit me. I'm going to roll to see how much damage that I take. So your damage was versus toughness. Toughness is an 8. So I'm going to roll 1d20 plus 8. And I get a 25. What was the damage DC for your attack?
The damage DC is a 21.
So 21. So my 25 beats your 21. So you throw your card at Wildcat. You hit her, but she is able to resist the damage. So in this case, this is probably due to her ability to defensive roll. So as the card comes, the blast goes off at her feet, but she's able to roll out of the way, taking no damage from the attack. So that will be your standard action. You still have move actions and as many free actions as you have to do. Is there anything else you would like to attempt?
The only question I have for you then is, since there was 2 degrees of failure, and that essentially implies that she takes a -1 penalty and she's dazed, does she still get a toughness roll though?
So the -1 penalty in daze is based off how much damage she takes. In this case, she didn't take any damage, so none of those would apply.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so that bruised, dazed, staggered, incapacitated, that's actually your health track in this case. So as you take more and more damage, it's going to become harder and harder to keep going in combat, more and more likely that you're going to get incapacitated.
So, just to throw this out there, when he was rolling for his attack, you measured how many steps he had hit her by. That's not even a thing. Not for a normal
I wasn't
attack.
sure if it was.
Yeah, that's for your damage and toughness check. That's how much damage you do to that person. And there are some powers where you're absolutely right. How well you hit something can make a difference. But for your normal attacks, if I hit that number, I hit that number, and we move on to the threshold, the damage threshold.
Gotcha. Okay. That just clicked in the back of my head. It's like, oh, wait a second. I think there might be something with degrees of success for to hit, but nope. Too many different rule systems in my mind.
And then all I will do is I will move to the edge of a container, taking some cover, and end my turn.
Okay. So next in the initiative slot is Wildcat. She wasn't very happy that you threw your card, so she's going to jump back up to the top of those crates. She is very quick, being imbued with being bitten by a radioactive kitten. So she is going to start leaping from crate to crate, coming towards you, Cadis. And she is going to attempt to swipe at you with her extremely sharpened claws. So for her, she is a... where'd it go? Plus 14 to hit. So she's going to roll her 1d20 plus 14 to see if she can hit. Because this is a melee attack, you're going to want to look at your parry. You did a range attack against me before, so I used dodge. Dodge is for range attacks, parry is for melee attacks. So you want to look at whatever your parry value is, add 10, and that becomes your parry DC.
I got DC of 24. So
24? Okay, so I rolled a 19. You are able to dodge out of the way of her attack. So that'll be her move, her standard action. Wildcat is done, and it will now head to Surfer.
So I will, let's see. I will use my movement to go here. And then, trying to see what I can see on the feed here. There we go. And then from there, so she's standing right in front of Cadis. I'm going to go ahead and blast her. And I'm just going to assume that I can hit her, so I'm going to do the power attack to take -5 to hit. And increase the toughness DC check. Because that means if I hit her, I'll do more damage, correct? You muted or something.
Thank you. Yes, so you're normally a plus 10 to hit. You're going to do a power attack, which is an advantage that you took. So you're going to subtract up to 5 from your attack roll to add it to the damage, correct?
Okay, correct. So, to hit, power attack, -5. So, /R, 1d20, plus 5. So I got a 19.
Okay. So you rolled a 19 to hit. Wildcat's, this will be dodge because it's a ranged attack. Wildcat's dodge DC is a 22. So she is able to dodge out of the way of the blast coming towards her as well.
Okay. So
she is a very nimble one.
Do we normally know what the DC is?
Not normally.
Okay, that's
sake of
transparency and
for the sake of giving you guys practice, I'm letting you know.
Got it.
Plus for Dan's help as well.
Okay.
Because he has this system mastered. I just like to tease him about it. Okay, so you did your move. You did your standard action. Is there anything else that you'd like to do?
Aeon, get her.
Okay. Grizzly will go next. He is going to put his shoulder down and he's going to start running to come save his buddy. He is also pretty quick, being bitten by a radioactive grizzly bear. So he's going to come over there. As he's coming down, he's going to shift into his alternate form, so his body becomes even more muscular. More coarse hair starts coming out of his skin, activating that. As his snout extends out to look more like a grizzly bear, he is to unleash a roar going towards both Surfer and Cadis. So it is a cone area affliction. So both of you guys will be in that cone, and he positions it so that Wildcat is not in it. Because this is a cone area attack, we're going to see if you two are able to get out of the way of the blast coming towards you. So for his attack, it will be a... Okay, so you're going to, not a dodge DC this time, but your actual dodge to see if you can dodge out of the way. You're going to roll 1d20 plus your dodge versus the DC of his attack, which in this case is a 20. So roll 1d20 plus dodge, try to beat a 20.
Nope.
Okay, so... Cadis, you are able to dodge out of the way of the roar coming towards you. Mark, you are not. So we'll figure out how many degrees of success that the Grizzly had against the Surfer. So it was a DC 20, you rolled a 17. That's a difference of 3. Round up to the nearest 5, divide by 5, 1 degree of success.
Correct.
So looking at his affliction ability, his first degree of success is dazed and impaired.
But that doesn't count unless he actually hurts me, right? Because that's how it happens.
Correct. So he's hit you. So you're in the blast. Thank you for that's a good point. You're in the blast. So now we need to see if you're able to be scared from the roar coming at you. So he's got you in the cone. Now, did it actually scare you? This is a fear-based attack.
I'm immune to fear-based things, so no problem.
Perfect. So because of your advantage of fearless, you are immune to the attack. If you were not immune, you would roll 1d20 plus your will save.
Which I'll do
versus the DC, and that would tell me what status conditions to put on you, based off how crappy you roll. You don't. If you want to roll it, you can.
Yeah.
So you rolled a 13.
Yep.
Just for funsies. So versus a 20, difference of 7, 2 degrees of success. With 2 degrees of success, you're going to be disabled and stunned, which means you will have -5 to every d20 roll you make until you can snap out of it. And you are stunned, so you're not able to take any actions. That is a very terrifying sound coming towards you.
Right.
Thankfully, you're immune to it, so it doesn't end up mattering. And Cadis dodged out of the way. Okay, so that's Grizzly.
Alright, I'm gonna take off and fly there. So I have a absorb energy, and I wasn't exactly sure how I'm supposed to use this. Like
okay.
how, because I know it fuels all my other like base powers. So I wasn't sure how I use it in an attack.
So this is a ranged attack that you're going to make. Okay. So you're going to roll 1d20 plus 8, which should be, I think, is that on your sheet?
No,
not obvious. Okay, so it's 1d20 plus 8 versus my dodge DC.
Okay, so it's plus 8. All right.
And are you running against Wildcat or Grizzly? Or Shiva?
Grizzly. I'll say it's Grizzly because he looks like he needs to be taken down a notch.
Okay, so roll 1d20 plus 8. You had an 18. Grizzly, his dodge DC is a 16. So you have exceeded. You have hit him with the attack.
Okay.
Your attack is a weakened attack, weakened power. So the way that's going to work is now that you've hit, I need to see if I'm able to resist this death ray that you've put him on. So I'm going to roll 1d20 plus my fortitude against the DC of 20, which is how powerful you've made your attack. My fortitude is a 12. Okay. So 1d20 plus 12 is 21. 21 beats 20, so I'm able to resist your weaken. You know what? Just to make this easy, let's say I rolled a
27.
I rolled a 2 plus my fortitude of 12 equals a total of 14.
Okay.
14 minus your 20 is 6. For weaken, I'm going to reduce Grizzly's stamina by 6 power points. 6 power points means effectively his stamina goes down by 3.
Okay.
So let's see if I can do that easily. I'm just going to mark it that way. Okay, so you've dropped his stamina. Because his stamina is dropped, his body is physically weaker, so his fortitude has also dropped, so he's going to have a harder time resisting poisons and more like body control, pheromones, that kind of thing. As well as, because his body is weaker, he's not going to be able to resist damage as easily. So his toughness also went down because of that attack by 3 points each.
Destructor and Chiaku, thank you for following. You are rock stars. And the chat also says all these radioactive animals came from the power plant meltdowns.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. I like it.
I just want to know what kind of grizzly only bites and not devours.
He didn't taste very good. And the man grizzly knew that anytime you're attacked by a bear, you punch him in the nose, and then you go in the fetal position and play dead. And it worked.
I had one more question before my turn is over. So I have a speed of flight of 120 miles an hour.
Okay.
How do I demonstrate that on the board? I wasn't sure.
So that one I'll defer to Dan, but normally it's a little bit more. Go ahead.
We're going to get into this a lot because Mark has a really high fly speed. You have a very high fly speed. Our fifth player, Surge, is a speedster. So essentially, what it means? Do you have move by attack?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Essentially, what it means is you can move before and after your action, and you'll just tell me where you are. That's what it comes down to. If it starts being ridiculous, like you're saying, okay, I'm gonna punch him, and then I'm gonna fly to Paris and wait for my turn, and I'm gonna fly back and punch him, and I'm gonna fly to Paris. You have to stay where you can see them so that you know if combat's done. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So I would say as long as because your speed is so high, as long as you stay within the map and it's not getting ridiculous, then I think we'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I moved and I attacked, so that's my turn. So thanks, guys.
Okay. After Aeon, we go to Shiva. She's finally done breaking the lock with her ice beam, but seeing as her two compatriots are in trouble, she is going to create a ice platform sliding up and from her ice slide, she's going to unleash. Actually, she's going to come right down there. She says, "Sorry, Wildcat," as she throws a wide beam of ice out of her palms, hitting Wildcat, Cadus, and Surfer.
That's awesome.
So this is a line area attack, hitting her own buddy, because she don't care. Bad guys and all, right? So because this is another area attack, she's not going to need to roll to hit, but you guys are going to have to roll to see if you can dodge out of the way. So this is going to be another DC 20, 1d20 plus your dodge.
Spoiler alert, I can't dodge out of the way.
Just the automatic 10, or you have to roll up to see, or the roll off?
So you've been hit by the beam, Cadus. We'll see how much damage in a moment. Mark, you have also been hit. Wildcat.
Duh.
Let's see, what is Wildcat's dodge? It is a 12. Wildcat does not dodge out of the way, so all three people were hit by this beam. This beam is going to be a DC 25 toughness check. So everybody that was hit, the three of yous, roll 1d20 plus your toughness. Nice roll, kids.
He's done that a lot today.
Can't hurt this. Dun, 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 dun.
That's right. Roll all of your 20s in the practice session that doesn't matter.
Please.
We don't get extra power points for this one? Come on.
Oh, Daniel, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Mark, roll your toughness.
No, because this is actually the question. I have an advantage called Withstand Damage. And it's take up to -5 dodge to dodge or parry to add to toughness. But I only have a 4. So can I not use it yet? Or how does that work?
You can take up to 5.
Okay, so I will take...
So you can take 1, 2, 3, or 4.
So I said I was going to get hit by it anyways. So can I redo that and just take the die roll without the 4? Because that's where I was supposed to have done it.
So, for the sake of practice, sure, but in the future,
Right. I know I need to declare
Dan's prerogative.
Yeah, no, you have to declare it before. Yeah.
Right, I would
for
have
the,
if
for the sake of practice, sure, but
Yeah. Okay. So then it's plus 4.
20 plus toughness plus 4.
Okay. 20 plus toughness plus 4. So roll 1d20 plus.
Seriously? I thought I was actually going to get to damage you people this time. Nice. Alright, so let's see. Wildcat takes all of the damage right here.
You can, yes, Wildcats can get damage.
Yes! Okay, so
That's awesome.
Wildcat got slammed in the back. She was not able to withstand. Oh, actually, that was the wrong one. Her toughness was an 8, so it's actually an 11.
Oh, no.
So rolled an 11 versus
Yeah,
the
2
DC
degrees.
of 25. So let's see, that is a difference of 14. Round up to the nearest 5, divide by 5 is damage.
Nice.
So I'm going to look at your health, at her health track. I'm going to see 3 degrees of damage equals staggered. So I'll check the box for staggered. And I will see that staggered means dazed and hindered. So I will see what dazed means is a single standard action per turn and moves at half speed. So she is now hurt, and I believe that's also a -1 to everything. I'm going to look at that in a moment. So she just took a giant shot. Now, the only way to kill or incapacitate a character is for that toughness roll to have 4 degrees of success. Or 4 degrees of failure, depending on point of view. So these combats, so you can see, you just keep rolling like this. You keep hitting, you either miss or your toughness checks. You take a couple of bruises here or there. Maybe you're dazed, maybe you're staggered. But eventually you're going to hit 4 degrees of success, and that's when the character gets incapacitated. For a named higher level character, for a minion or a mook or just a random peon that you're going to just smack through, 1 degree of success or 1 degree of failure incapacitates them. So I've marked Wildcat is now staggered. I will then, so that was Shiva, so we'll go up to the top of the round to Cadis.
Anthony, just a caveat on that though. If you're already staggered and you get 3 degrees of failure and you get staggered again, then you get incapacitated as well. So you don't get 4 degrees. So 2 multiple 3rd degrees or a 4 and all 4 degrees.
Yeah, it counts as the next degree down. So since you've already done the 3 degrees as checked, it becomes 4 degrees the next time you got a 3rd. Thank you. Okay. All right, Cadis, what you got?
So, seeing how old Wildcat wants to get up close and personal, Cadis will entertain that notion, and instead of going out, and since he's also in direct contact, he's gonna take out his staff and engage in a melee attack. So, I'm going to attempt a strike with the staff. So that is going to be a roll of 1d20 plus 12. For a 31 to hit.
Nice. Okay. She is a parry DC of a 22, so you have hit her. So she's going to roll to see if she's able to resist the damage. What is the damage DC for your attack?
Damage DC is 19, and don't forget you have a -1 penalty as well.
Okay. So her toughness is an 8. We'll subtract a -1, which is a 13. So 13 versus your, what was your DC again? I'm sorry?
19, so 2 degrees of failure.
So the 2 degrees, so now she is also dazed.
And with her being dazed,
Which
I will
is
do a move action and go around.
Okay. So now she's been bruised twice. So she's going to have 2 -1s to all of her toughness checks. For a -1 for each bruise that she's obtained. Okay. Anything else, Cadus?
Negative. I just moved around so I can get in line with the other two guys, and that is the end of my turn.
Okay, so it is now Wildcat's turn. She is dazed and staggered, so she's only able to take a single her entire turn. And she would move at half speed if she sacrifices her standard action to take a move action. Thankfully, you are still right next to her, so she is able to turn around and still swipe at you without actually having to move. So Wildcat's claws are a plus 14 to hit. What is your parry DC?
Parry DC is 24.
Okay, so I rolled a 25. I beat your parry DC, so now you get to take a damage check. So it is a damage DC of 21. So roll 1d20 plus toughness versus a 21.
Wait, why is he doing that?
Cat turned around and swiped at Cadus. I
sorry.
rolled the 1d20
Got it.
plus 14 to hit. He's seeing if he can resist the damage.
And I cannot.
Okay, so 13 to 21 is going to be 8, difference of 8, which is 2 degrees of success. So now Cadus has a bruise and is dazed. Okay. So that'll be Wildcat. Surfer.
I'm just going to... I think I'm going to... We'll just do a...
Is there any power you want to try out?
No, because most of them don't work. So let's just do a straight cosmic blast to Wildcat, try and put her out of our misery once and for all. So that's going to be 1d20 plus 10.
Okay.
1d20 plus 10. Which is probably not enough to hit her.
So let's see. Wildcat is right there. You're shooting, so her dodge DC is a 22.
So, yeah.
She's able to dodge out of the way of your attack.
Yep.
Okay. After Surfer is Grizzly. Grizzly's going to hop up to the top of the crates and attempt to get the smack on Surfer. Actually, no. He's gonna keep attacking Cadus because I'm pretty sure Surfer's pretty high up on the ground, pretty high flying up there. Grizzly can't quite reach you.
Sucks to be Cadus.
Right. So Grizzly is going to swipe with his 2 bare claws, and then also attempt to bite at you with his teeth. So this is he's got a.
He does that. Suddenly, Surfer pushes Cadus out of the way and takes the hit for him instead.
So you're looking at interpose?
Yep.
Okay, so interpose will be after Grizzly hits Cadus.
Oh,
so you
okay.
can use it. You can effectively use Cadus's defense if Cadus is hit toughness.
Okay.
So he's going to attempt to hit you with both bear claws and his teeth. This is going to be a multi-attack. So he's going to first roll to see if he can hit you. Multi-attack versus a single target. So he's going to roll 1d20 plus
DC 24.
plus 7 to see if he can hit you.
Fail.
DC 24, he is going to miss. All 3 of those multi-attacks are rolled into that same attack roll, so that just becomes fluff at that point. So that's Grizzly, that's Wildcat. Aeon.
All right. I'm going to do since I'm now powered up, I'm going to over here. But before I get to there, I'm going to punch Grizzly in the face.
Okay.
And so now, so it's an unarmed attack, which is +8 and a DC of 27.
Okay, so roll your +8 to see if you can beat Grizzly's parry DC.
So I got 23.
Okay, you hit him.
All right.
So I need a roll to see how much damage you do. What was your damage DC?
27.
Okay, so he's going to roll his toughness of 14 versus your DC of 27. Ouch. Forget what happens on a nat 1 on a toughness roll. I'm going to, either way, it's a failure. I'm just going to add a degree of success because I forget what that does, and I'll look that up later. Note to self, 1 on toughness. So he rolled a 15. What was your DC one more time?
27.
27. So 15 to 27, difference of 12. Round up to 15, 3 degrees, but it's a 1, so I'm going to consider that 4 degrees of success. Because I forget what the 1 does, I'll just add a degree.
I just knocked him out.
So with 4 degrees of success, he is knocked out. Nice hit.
What?
I don't play.
Okay. And then don't forget to knock down your life pool by 1 for your strengths. And then do you have anything else that you wanted to do?
I figured that was a move action and a attack, so I think that's all I can do, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Then
okay. All right. Is going to go next. As Wildcat and Cadus are in their own little cat fight, Shiva is going to blast ice particles at Cadus's feet, trying to freeze and lock him in place. So this is going to be an affliction to attempt to hold you down. So this affliction, Ice Bomb, she's going to have to roll to see if she can hit you first, which is going to be a versus your dodge. So she critted on the attack roll. So when you crit in this game, if you guys look at your character, I believe it's on the character sheets. It is not.
No, the actual crit roll is on there, but not the crit's actual bonus.
What happens when you crit? So there's a couple of things that you can choose when you crit. Something cool happens. Could be more damage. It could be a different status effect. It could be something that's just kind of editing the scene and playing with what's going on. So I'm going to hold the crit for the moment. I have hit you. So now let's see if you're able to resist the ice bonds that are coming after you.
Because at the last second, I push him out of the way.
Perfect. Okay, so instead of Surfer being hit by the attack, I have now hit. Instead of Cadus, I have now hit Surfer.
Right.
Surfer is interposed and is taking the shot for Cadus. So I've hit Surfer. I've critted against him. So Surfer needs to roll to see if she was able to lock you down. So go ahead and roll a 1d20. So the way that her power is written, 1d20 plus dodge. So whatever your actual dodge is, that's what you're going to roll.
So if I want to remove up to 5 from that dodge, correct?
It wouldn't matter because this is not going to do a toughness check at all.
Oh, it's not.
So this is not trying to hurt you. It's trying to lock you down. I'm encapsulating you in ice.
Got it. Okay. So then I actually need my dodge number. So let me see here.
Your actual dodge, not the dodge DC.
So was that her ice attack that was a 20?
Correct.
Yes.
So you were talking about what you could do?
Right, as far as the advantage.
Which is a +5 bonus to attack's effect rank. Ooh. So you could add 5 to damage, or if it was a not damaging attack, you could add 5 to its effect rank.
Okay.
You could add its added effect, which adds another effect of your choice with a resistance of DC 10 or 15 for the damage effect, against which the targets must make a separate resistance check. So if this is a non-damaging attack and you crit, maybe it does freeze the opponent, like does freezing damage. Or an alternate effect. The attacker can choose an alternate effect of the attack without using extra effort. So it's like having a free extra effort.
Perfect. And then, just so I'm looking at the same thing, so I don't lose what you just said, what page are you looking at?
The
I want to. Oh, may I have just? Did I just see
the
it?
GM screen.
The DM screen. Page
Fine.
Page DM screen.
So I think it's on that page right there. There it goes. Okay. So the added effect.
You're
Okay.
frozen and
So,
suffocating.
well, in this case, so how I'm gonna roll her crit, as I haven't looked at. So Mark, I'm glad you haven't made your roll yet. So Surfer came in to try to break Cadus out of the attack. He is able to get in there and push Cadus out of the way, but he's just slightly too slow. So there is some remnant of ice bonds that are slowing and trying to hold Cadus down. So Cadus will suffer the added effect 1d20 plus your dodge versus a DC of 10. You should probably beat that one. Don't roll a 1.
Yeah, got a 16.
So this is.
Dodge.
Was this your? Okay, works for me. So you were able to get out of the way of the second added effect. Surfer, though, you're taking the full brunt, so you need to roll 1d20 plus your dodge to see if you can get out of the way of those icicles that are creeping up along
Absolutely not.
trying to hold you down.
No.
Okay, so DC was 20, you rolled an 11, difference of 9, 2 degrees of success. For her ice bonds, 2 degrees of success is immobile and defenseless. That means that you are no movement speed, and then your defenses are 0. Anybody can auto hit you in combat, or if they want to roll against you and they hit a defense of 0 plus 10 DC, then it's an automatic crit as well. So you are locked down and you are easy to hit as you jumped in the way from Cadus's attack.
How does one get out of something like this?
So at the end of your turn, you do your standard actions or whatever, so there's no penalty to, you can still do your actions, you just can't move. So you can still do your ray.
Okay.
You just can't move right now. And then at the end of your turn, you will make that same check again. 1d20 plus
my dodge.
Your dodge of now 0 to beat a DC of 20. That's actually pretty crappy. I didn't realize that worked that way. Huh.
Crap happens.
Roll a nat 20 to get out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much all that's going to happen. I'm going with Ray's option.
Huh.
We're going to blow up the ship.
Alrighty.
I'll just pick up the ship and take it. How about that?
You could do that too. Okay, so that was Shiva. So remember I was saying earlier the night of how it is very easy to break this game and this rule system? I just accidentally broke the game. So note to self, fix that.
So I would argue that if you could give me a reason why you would use a different defense to get out of whatever situation, you could use a different. So it may be freezing your dodge, but maybe you're putting your body against it, and maybe you roll toughness instead.
Or strength.
You're right.
Or,
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't want to use strength.
I don't know. I wasn't looking at your sheet to see what your strength was, but
It's 0. It's 0.
yeah, you probably don't want to use strength.
No, I don't want to use strength. I'll put my silver body
Okay,
all
so
over it.
Shiva locked. So Shiva has locked the surfer down. So we will go to. I think that I'm going to hand wave to say that taking any damage or any damage to the ice that's encapsulating you which I'm gonna just say is anybody else can spend a standard action to get you out of it, as they try to pick you out of the ice, blow up the ice that's holding you down. So any damage to the ice or damage to you will break you out.
You heard him. To him.
Any damage to the surfer will break the surfer out.
Nice.
Okay, so after she was down, Cadis, go blow up the surfer.
Not the
Or
surfer.
just like a wildcat or Shiva.
That's the shit. So this again comes back to how quickly we break it. I.e., technically I could charge. I spend 1 round to charge up a large object, i.e., the ship itself, and in which case the next round it goes boom.
That's true. So your power, as written, you touch the ship, and then in a round the ship explodes because that's Gambit's ability. So
for the record, the ship is much too large for Gambit to blow up in that manner. It would be a large portion of it, like the entire area you're standing on, but even Gambit from the 90s television show
Wasn't that powerful?
yes. So
only 20-30 feet of the ship would blow up.
right.
So Ray, what that means is that I'm going to tweak your character sheet a little bit. I'm going to add a quirk that the your large object cannot exceed a certain size. Probably be the effect rank and mass.
It just says large object.
It just says large object.
Then I so
Is size large a thing?
yeah. So I mean, for every other gaming system, it is 9 squares.
Okay. That works.
Your
we'll
size medium, so like a car, a large truck.
That makes sense.
Yep. So there's a lot of GM hand waving that has to happen to make this game work sometimes.
Which is true sometimes, and that's the way every superhero system I've seen, to include champions, which is very crunchy but super fun. It requires a lot of hand waving too.
Hence why I kind of brought that up, just because it's on there. So
I'm on the moon. I touched the moon.
And the moon goes bye-bye next round. Thanos thought he was badass because he could like break apart a moon and then like send it. I can detonate the entire moon itself and a planet, etc. But yeah, so to get this going on, I will. And
then for the sake of time, just to add in as well, for the sake of time, I'm going to consider this the final round of combat.
Sure. And since it's still engaged with melee and Wildcat decides she wants to get all frisky, I'm essentially going to slap her down one more time, just as a show of force. With a staff strike and a DC 19 if that even hits.
Okay, Wildcat's parry DC is higher than that. So you have missed Wildcat.
Did you minus all your stuff down?
So the bruises only affect toughness rolls.
I thought the -1 penalty is worth everything.
I thought it was everything because she'd be slower too, right?
It's everything.
Because she's already...
According to the character sheet that you gave us, it's everything.
Look at that, the DM's trying to kill us already.
Was it? Wait. But it was, how did you damaged her by 1 degree?
So she had
2 degrees.
Look it up to make sure we're doing it the right way.
She is staggered, stunned, and dazed. So with -2 penalty.
That's where I was.
Dazed and hindered. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's probably still... She probably still dodges. I'm just...
Yeah, it's just toughness checks.
Yeah.
So with a 3 degree, -1 penalty to further checks against damage. With a 2 degree, -1 circumstance penalty, additional checks against damage.
So just so you guys know, there's very few status effects that will affect everything.
Okay.
Impaired is one of the only ones that affects everything, and that's a -2 penalty on all checks.
Gotcha. Yep. No, I just want to make sure that we're all tracking. So.
Yep. This when you're damaging them, it lowers their toughness, which makes it harder for them to succeed at those toughness checks.
So the question here is: do we have a tax? I forget if we had an opportunity, a tax of opportunity, in M2.
I don't believe so.
All right. Okay. It's a backup. So next round, throw some marbles at you. All right. That's all I got.
All right, Anthony. So I believe Grizzly's out of the count. So am I next then?
No. No.
Anthony, you are muted.
I wasn't sure who's next.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. So after Cadis comes Wildcat, then Surfer, Grizzly, Aeon. So,
Way
yeah.
off.
So Wildcat is dazed and staggered. So she's dazed is a single standard action, and staggered is remind myself
Half
of those.
speed.
Half speed or no one category.
Okay.
Or ranking.
Well, she's going to see that Surfer is encased in ice, and she will take advantage of the opportunity and swipe at the locked down person next to her. So she's going to attempt to hit Hugh, hit the Surfer. Surfer is in ice, so she could auto hit, but she is going to elect to actually roll to see if she can beat a DC of 10. Her claws are a +14 to hit.
So I don't get this.
I auto miss.
I still don't get this. I get that I'm locked down. Why do I not get a parry exactly?
Because you can't move.
You can't move, so you can't dodge out of the way of an attack.
See, this doesn't make
So
sense.
you
Then
can't-
how am I able to attack on my turn, but I can't use my hand to
So
deflect
it's like
something?
you can't move, but that doesn't mean you can't summon power into your hand and have it come out of your hand. That doesn't mean you can't hit with a mental blast
Okay.
or a perception thing. Sure, you're not going to be able to draw a sword and swing because you can't move. But
So what is he?
so he is currently immobile and defenseless. Immobile and defenseless.
Ooh. So parry and dodge would be considered active defenses,
Correct.
which is what he's talking about.
Okay. So
Immobile.
let's say you hit with that. I know you missed, but let's say you did hit. Do I at least get my toughness against it?
Yes.
Okay.
So if
Did you
I
hit-
had hit, go ahead.
You can still shrug off the damage.
Right.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Anthony.
Yeah, you're still encased in armor, and her claws are still only so powerful. So even if you can't move, she still has to scratch through all of that toughness to be able to hurt you.
Got it.
Granted, because you can't move, she can put her claws in the perfect spot that would have been a critical hit if she had actually hit.
Got it.
Go for the one. The old,
For one. So she slipped on ice or what?
Surfer, as she went to sing, the Surfer's eyes went and looked at her, and it freaked her out, and she went off balance, imagining the Superman and the Justice League, or probably a terrible example considering we're Marvel.
Well,
Yeah.
let's put it that she actually struck the ice and
She
not
hit the
hit.
ice itself.
And now you're free.
And now I'm free.
Yes,
That's
sure, works for me. All right, Surfer, you are now free from ice.
Great.
It is now your turn.
I fly 2 squares up and then do my cone attack to everything below me. Meaning we'll just leave them that are
Right.
down there.
Cadis, Wildcat,
Nope,
Shiva, and
nope,
Aeon.
Nope. Cadis is not there. Unless
I'm not on the ship back there. I'm there.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
gonna hit.
Okay.
Go for Wildcat, Shiva.
Wildcat, Shiva, and Grizzly.
Grizzly's already knocked out.
I don't care.
Well, we can go. Okay.
So let's see. Your cone attack.
Yeah, I have to see if it's gonna work. It probably won't. It was a
so
toss up between this and turning 1,600 pounds worth of the deck into super glue and watching everyone fall through and be stuck to stuff. I wasn't sure which, but this one has a higher chance of actually working.
It has a 50% chance.
Yeah, 50% versus 25. All right, so first I just roll a d20 to see if it works.
Yep. So so because your power is unreliable,
right,
you're going to roll 1d20. On a 1 through 10, the power fizzles. Okay, so 17, the power is not going to fizzle. You can use it this turn.
Yep.
So now I have to roll for my two. I have to roll with my 2 peeps to see if they get out of the way.
Your 3
so Wildcat
yeah.
is a back to her.
It's DC 25.
This is dodge. Okay, so plus dodge. Ties go to the attacker, so you'll have 1 degree of success against her, or you'll succeed against her.
Yep.
And Shiva, her dodge is 11. She is going to dodge out of the way of the beam coming down. Wildcat is going to be hit.
Oh no.
So your cone is a DC 25. So she's going to roll 1d20 plus her toughness minus the 2 bruises that she's gotten so far. So she got a 13. 13 to your 25 is a difference of 12. So 3 degrees of success. She's already got a 3-degree effect, so it's going to jump down to a 4-degree effect.
And she is incapacitated.
Which means that she is. You've taken out the Wildcat.
Yay.
Okay. Anything else, Surfer?
No.
Okay. Grizzly's out. Aeon.
Oh, so how did damage? How did damage work against him since he wasn't able to dodge out of the way? Does that murder him?
What do you mean?
Coup de grace? He was in my cone effect.
There is no actual death in Masterminds. You're just incapacitated.
He's talking about Grizzly.
Grizzly, got it. I missed that part. Yes. So Dan, pending comic book, nobody ever really dies. So
even in the MCU, unless it's a plot death, they don't really die.
Okay.
So unless you specifically say I'm murdering that fool, it's assumed that the damage washes over him.
Okay.
He succeeds at his toughness check.
Got it. Sorry, thank you.
Okay. Aeon, can you take out Shiva in one shot?
I'll try. Maybe.
Okay.
I'm gonna fire off my death ray.
Okay.
And the DC on that is 25.
The attack, so her dodge DC is a 21, so you have hit her. So now I need to check my weaken. So it's a fortitude, right?
Yes.
Okay, so her fortitude is 11. So I got a 13. What was your DC?
DC was a 25.
So 13 to 25 is a difference of 12. Dan, quick rule on there. Her stamina is a 1, so it will go down 1 and not go down below 0.
So she should be fine. Well, not fine, but you get my point.
Actually, no. It can. So she was at 1. It's going to be 12 power points, so it's going to go down by 6. 6. So her stamina is at a -5. So she should be a lot easier to hurt.
Actually, that drops her toughness down really low too. So that means her toughness is going to be even harder.
Yeah, it's going to be harder for her to make those toughness rolls, exactly, and fortitude rolls. So both of them. Oh, I'm sorry. You said the damage ray, not the weaken ray, correct?
Yes, but if you want to do those, if you already did the calculated the absorb thing, I can just not know how to do my power jet and ended up doing that one anyway.
Okay, so I've put them back. I want to make sure you know how to do your thing.
Well, that's why I was doing the death ray.
Okay.
But that
So-
weekend looked like it worked pretty damn good.
The weekend worked pretty damn good, but for the sake of you knowing how your death ray works, so that is a touch attack. So you moved in, you touched it.
Yep.
Alternate resistance was fortitude, so she rolled her fortitude right there.
Yep.
It's DC 25, so 13 to 25 is 12, so that will be 3 degrees of success.
That's how you want to call it. Yeah.
So with 8 degrees, she is going to be staggered and take a bruise. And there you go. There's your death ray. After that is Shiva, and she's going to say, as her 2 buddies go down, screw this. I'm creating an ice slide and leaving her friends for you and sliding off into the sunset
And
to
did
come
you
back
say
and fight you guys another day.
There are no opportunity attacks in this game?
That is correct.
Okay.
Dang it.
And she's off into the sunset in true comic book style.
And so we gained,
This isn't the end.
we gained 5 levels from this, 5 power levels from this combat?
gained-
That's up to Dan.
Point 0.000005 power points for this combat.
And not that I think we deserve PowerPoint for this, but say we got 5, would that be like a standard adventure for that day, or how's that work?
I'm gonna have to figure that out. I don't know. It's been a long time since I ran this, and in the past, we just didn't level up.
Honestly, yeah. Sometimes that's the easiest because it starts getting pretty crazy pretty quick.
Yep. But I'll figure out a good system for us to go to. Awesome. Do you guys have any questions?
I think I should remake my character to make them immobile and defenseless.
Yeah,
That's
Pretty bad.
It's way better than my character. Just nullified my entire character concept in one shot.
Well, you rolled really crappy. And
No,
it's a
she
stock
critted.
power.
That was just a crit. That's all it was. She had a crit. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a pretty awesome ability for a crit.
1 second.
I think you're muted, Mark.
Give me
Yeah, that's kind of-
right back. Give me
yeah.
half a second.
I'm not muted.
That's kind of like
I-
the good thing about this game
Oh.
because you can get knocked out real quick.
Mark, I have my tablet sitting next to me on the couch, and I'm seeing
And
your
you're
mouse
looking
move,
at that.
and
Nice. That's fantastic. That's hilarious.
because it's like
Yeah.
a minute behind.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anthony, for covering that. I really appreciate it. So, what I would like this to be is I would like this to be a role-playing game. MC movies tend to be action-oriented, story-oriented, and so there will be combat. There will be times where you have to use your powers creatively to think through a problem. Combat isn't the only way to go about stuff, so I'm kind of expecting you guys to be creative. Because we're trying to tell a story. We're trying to build the MCU in our image, like in how we want it to move forward. Especially since we're adding in all of this content that hasn't been in the MCU yet. So I would really like to see that. Next week we will be starting at 7 or 7:30 if my tech doesn't work. But we should be good to go. We should have all of the players, I think, next week. And I have Mutants and Masterminds up on my Roll20, and I'm already putting the character sheets together, so you guys will actually have digital character sheets in the system that you'll be able to roll attacks from. So that part, I haven't tried them yet, but that part, they should work that way. Did you have a question?
No,
No.
good.
Okay. Okay. Well, so that's essentially what I'm looking at for this game, for this Mutants Masterminds Rise of the Mutants game. Cool.
Perfect.
Cool.
Well, thank you very much, guys. I think we are right on time. It is 9:54. Mark, you want to head us out?
Yeah, as always, if you like the stream, make sure you hit the follow button. Again, thank you to Destructor and everyone else that participated in the chat, including, I'm scrolling back up, it was Shiako, so thank you very much for following. If you want to support us, hit the subscribe button here on Twitch, or if you're on YouTube, you can head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/gamersledge, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get your name on every single show that we do, just like these fine folks that are coming up next. For Daniel, Anthony, Ray, Nick, and myself, thanks for watching. Until next time, game on.
Game on.